Hello friends, today we are in the second session of the third chapter, that is inclusive strategies. One fine day in the evening I was watching TV, CNBC TV 18 was giving an award to a social entrepreneur. I was surprised to see a sociologist or a social worker, philanthropist is getting an award for social entrepreneurship. So, CNBC TV 18 was giving an award to Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak. He is a man in sociology. His love for the society is so that attracted us towards learning about Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak. Now, in the last part of the session, say first session, we have learnt various inclusive strategies introduced by government through constitutional safeguards, legislative measures and developmental programs. Along with that, we have learnt how Gandhiji and Baba Saheb had inculcated the feeling and awareness about the injustice on them, on the scheduled castes, and how they can be uplifted. Now, one more thing that is very much with the point of view of health and sanitation, we find that the scheduled castes were totally in a very inferior conditions. As we all know, caste is a stratificatory system in which occupational stratification is done. There is no written record as such stating that this caste is in this place, but in social life, people, when they are living the social life, they sociologically, through socialization, they know the stratificatory status of the caste to which they belong. So, therefore, we can find that the occupations that were considered as menial, occupations that were considered as very ugly, such occupations like working with leather, tanning, cleaning toilets, and all such things which are very impure, unhygienic, were fixed or reserved for the scheduled castes. So, while seeing especially scavenging, so looking at all the problems of these scavengers and the sufferings that they are facing, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak attempted as a sociologist, as a social worker, attempted to bring about some changes. Now, the main intention of SULA International, there are four important aims for which the SULA International came into existence. The one is rehabilitation of manual scavenging. Now, we do not know at present in the 2020s, but there was a time when the scheduled castes people had to manually scavenging work had to be done by them. So, to rehabilitate the scavenging, manual scavenging. Next, human rights. In various places, they were treated inhumanly treatment. They were not treated as humans. Thirdly, environmental sanitation. Now central government has several schemes by which it has achieved also toilets in all the rural areas. Now, rural sanitation is very important because it is useful even for environmental health. environmental greenery and environmental safety. So the third intention was environmental sanitation. Fourth is non-conventional source of energy. The two pit toilet system which we introduced, which have been there in various national highways, where people have to pay and use the toilet. So in a way, the people can use the toilet. Along with that, the waste management. Waste is used as biogas and biofertilizers. So with all these four intentions, Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak started an institution called as Sulabh Shauchalay. This Sulabh Shauchalay is a dream come true project by Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak. It is the most largest NGO, most biggest NGO, that is non-governmental organization found in India. It has more than 50,000 volunteers working voluntarily. Now the main importance of this comes where 10,000 million people are every day they are using. Now when we travel from one area to another, when we have to travel by highways, we can stop in between and we use paid toilets. These are all come under Sulabh International or Sulabh Shauchalay project. Now this is the main intention of Sulabh Shauchalay, where the wastage is managed, wastage is used as biogas and biofertilizers, and even water treatment is done. Now Bindeshwar Pathak is especially known because he had another important aim, that was to give education to the downtrodden. How can we uplift anybody in a social setup? By educating, by giving employment opportunities, and by political empowerment. So first he has tried to give sanitary and health conditions, proper health conditions. Secondly, he tried to give education, like Sulabh International started public school in New Delhi. And mainly the purpose of starting of this institution is to give education to the children of scavengers, both girls and boys. Now because of these things, because of his efforts, he has been awarded some awards. He received some awards, or he has bagged some awards. Now UN Center for Human Settlements, in its global urban best practice at Habitat conference in Istanbul, Turkey, he was being awarded. 1996 the program was conducted and he was being awarded global urban best practice. Now the other awards that he received are: the Economic and Social Council of UN has given him special consultative status. Now around 35,000 people are winning their bread, or they are getting jobs because of Sulabh Shauchalay, and around 240 towns are getting benefited out of this practice. Now this institution also has some coordination with some international agencies like BODA, a German institute, British Council and European Union. Now other two recent awards he was being awarded are: in 2007 he has got a cheap toilet, he has got an award for having cheap, facilitating the people with the cheap toilet system, and the most important is 2009 Stockholm Water Prize Award is also conferred on him. Now Sulabh International has opened up a museum in New Delhi where you can find the history of how the sanitary systems have been started, what are the new areas of work done, all these are in this museum, people can see. Now let us now move on to another topic, that is tribal welfare programs. Now, as you all know, the third chapter deals with inclusive strategies. Till now we have studied about the strategies which are useful for the scheduled caste. Now let us now understand some of the tribal programs for the tribal welfare programs, I mean. So the first is economic programs. Now let us know what all activities done or what all programs formulated and policies been done for the upliftment of the tribals and development of the tribals. The first is economic activities. Now here various 5-year plans have allocated certain amount of money for the tribal welfare. The first that here in the 5th 5-year plan, 1,100 crore rupees were allotted. In the 6th plan, 5,535 crores were allotted, and the 7th plan, 10,500 crores allotted, and similarly it has been allotted and distributed in various corporations, SCDC or Scheduled Caste Development Corporations. Now another important tribal welfare scheme is inserted in that 20-point program along with various plans, 20-point programs. Tribal welfare was also included in that. Another is establishment of LAMs and Trifed. Now first of all, we have understood how bonded labor was there in India. In history we must have learnt, or in various language classes we must have read some of the stories of bonded laborhood. Now in order to abolish the system of bonded labor, the act was passed in 1976. Abolition of bonded labor in 1976. Now another is LAMs. Now LAMs and Trifed. What is this LAMs? LAMs, large area multi-purpose societies. In the rural areas as well as in urban areas. Now the tribal who have been migrated, now let us know about LAMs. LAMs is an abbreviation. The full form of it is Large Area Multi-Purpose Societies. Now the main intention of the program of the LAMs is a society is to promote credit facilities for production, agricultural production, to supply them with the seeds, with irrigational facilities, agricultural implements, fertilizers, insecticides, and giving them some amount of training like to poultry farming and animal husbandry, even weaving, etc. Now they were also lent loans to start any small industry or small scale industry. And one more thing, especially tribal women also, to bring them up. Now what is Trifed? Trifed is another institution. The full form of Trifed is Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation. What does this federation does? The main thing is the federation is doing is to give marketing to their tribal products. If you go to various areas of where the tribals live, they have their own kind of products, maybe agricultural products, products from the forest, and they have their artistic handcraft designs, pottery, etc. to provide proper marketing for their production, to get better price for their product, and to eliminate exploitation. So, these are the two important institutions which are working for the economic welfare of the tribals in India. Now, second is educational program. Now, as we all know, around 80% of the tribals are illiterate. Now, for them to get education, to give them education, free hostels, free education in schools, textbooks, stationery, even loan facility if they go for at a subsidized rate of interest, if they go for higher education, training for various kinds of self-employment schemes, all these give them a push to go independent economically. Now, NCERT has done some work for the upliftment of the tribals, and in Mysore there is an institution, a Center for Indian Institute of Languages, where 60 dialects of various tribal groups are studied, and to implement the point, that is, the tribals have to be taught in the language that they wish. So, one more important welfare program is research program. Now, various programs are planned. How they are implemented, how they are worked out, to know how the administration of welfare scheme is done by some research institutions. So, there are about 11 centers in India which do such research work, and there is a 30-member committee, a board, Central Research Advisory Council, which guide for policy formulation. So, the next is health, housing and other schemes. Now, we all know the tribals were away from civilized society. Many of them are illiterate. They have their own customs, traditions, several traditional habits. Many of them do not have proper housing facilities, sanitary facilities, and therefore many of them lack health, need health assistance. So, health-wise, hospitals have been established in the tribal areas. Some mobile hospitals are also moving from city areas or rural areas to the tribal areas to cater to their health needs. And primary health centers are also opened up in tribal areas. Especially the main target is the concern was for tribal women, post and prenatal care of the tribal women. Now, regarding tribal health welfare program, we should know about a important institute which have done a commendable job in Karnataka. That is under the guidance of Dr. H. Sudarshan, through a trust called as Karuna Trust. And Girijana Kalyana, Vivekananda Girijana Kalyana Kendra, Biligiri Garangana Betta in Chamarajnagar district. Dr. Sudarshan has done a commendable job by starting up this Kendra, by starting up this trust. Through this trust, he has done a lot of work. The first important work that is done is child and maternal health, to take care of the tribal children and tribal mothers. Later on, it was been extended to all. Now, there are about 26 centers of Karuna Trust now existing, and this is working even in Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. So, here we come to the end of the tribal welfare programs. Now, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are the marginalized groups. In the chapter 2, we have studied various commissions that have came into existence for the sake of SC, ST and OBC, other backward classes. Now in this chapter, we have already understood some of the measures taken for SCs and STs. Now, one more important thing that we are going to learn in this chapter is about gender inequality. Now, Manusmriti says, there is a shloka in Manusmriti, Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devataha. That means, where women are honored, there blossoms divinity. Divinity blossoms in the place where women are treated in a high place. I remember a book written by Simon de Bureau, Second Sex. The book starts with a saying that men impregnate the woman and women bear children. So, these two important things I am quoting is for the sake that all over the world, women are considered next to men. Women are told that you are a woman, you are next only to men. She was not given equal treatment, equal opportunities, or to a certain extent in some of the areas she was being ill-treated and marginalized. So, in another way, we can say this is also the womanhood and the women of a society. In India are also marginalized. This is a world phenomenon. That is the book that is Second Sex says, where it is a research-based study where she has given how the status of women have changed. No doubt there is a lot of change of women in India. Now we are going to study this important gender inequality in this chapter. Now the chapter begins with differentiating between sex and gender. Now we know the term sex is used only to mean biological sex of a person. So, sex is biological, gender is social, cultural and psychological. Therefore, when we say sex, we say male and female. And when we say gender, we say man and woman. So, only the difference is the reproductive pattern. And depending upon this anatomical difference, the society from time immemorial have placed man at a higher place and then women. So, now let us know what are the important factors relating to gender inequality in this chapter. Now, Gandhiji once said, when you educate a woman, a family gets educated. And one more thing Gandhiji said, that if India will be fully developed socially and culturally only when a woman fearlessly moves all over India without fear at midnight. So, is it the situation now? If we open the newspaper, if we lend our ears to the television, or we go through the social media, we come to know so many kinds of exploitation on women. Many areas we find acid attacks, many areas we hear about molestation, sex abuse, domestic violence, rape, etc. So, these are the recent problems which we find the women are facing. In addition to that, we find in socialization process, we find the women are socialized in such a way that you are a girl, so you have to inculcate in yourself feminine features. You should be shy, you should be emotional, and so you are weak, all those. Whereas a boy is told that he is dominating, should be arrogant, should show his physical strength. Such ideas regarding masculine and feminine nature is inculcated in the children throughout socialization. Now, therefore we can say sex is biological and gender is social. Therefore, gender is socially constructed component of human sexuality. Now, automatically in course of time, because man is physically strong, man is told that he is physically strong. Therefore, emotionally, psychologically, he was being termed as strong. There is a saying that man is for production and women are for reproduction, because the work that is done by women are not noticed, unnoticed, unpaid household work. But a rare situation, Mundugomor tribe, Mundugomor in New Guinea, a Chambuli tribe shows a different picture where in that tribe women go out and bring home the income, whereas the men folk sit at home, do household work and make girls everything. So that is especially anthropological study done by Margaret Mead, where she found Chambuli tribe vice versa role play by the men and women. Now, the chapter, third chapter deals with, specifically has given importance to a report, towards equality report. I should mention it, 1974 this report has been given. Though it looks a bit outdated because now we are in 2020. Now the towards equality report has some objectives. With some objectives the report has been presented. The first is to know about the problems of women. Know about the problems of women and how constitutional, legal and administrative machineries have influenced the status of women. Secondly, it also, another object is to know the impact for 2 decades. The impact of these administrative machineries over the status of women in 2 decades, especially in rural areas. Thirdly, development of education. Main intention was to development of education. Now, how women are educated, what is the rate of literacy, and if it is slow, what is the reason for the slow growth. Next is problems of the working women. Women at work, may face so many problems, and what are they? To know about the problems of working women in employed areas. Next is to examine the status as housewives. Though she is at home, her work is unnoticed, unpaid, and there are so many housewives face a lot of problems. To examine the status of women as housewives and mothers. Next, implication of population policy. How population policy has affected and how family planning programs have affected the women, and any other suggestion. So, there are 7 points which have to be written for a 5-mark question from the examination point of view. Now, next is importance of the report. The report was presented. Surprisingly, extensive work was done, but only the middle class women could achieve educationally and economically. Even now, there are a lot of percentage of people, women now, they involve in economic activity, but they don't have control over the resources. They don't get what they work for a long hours of work, but they are paid less. So such is the situation. Only educationally and with the, some amount of employment opportunities middle class women could achieve, but the lower and the higher caste class group could not achieve much. So in the past, during ancient times, traditional time, medieval period of Indian history, women faced various other problems. Now right now the problems differ. So that is why, in order to emancipate women from such problems, to bring women back to the mainstream, or to get them for political participation, to empower them, that is to bring them, to make them strong, some empowerment programs are done. So the next topic for our discussion is women empowerment. Now the dictionary says empower means to give power, give authority. For what? Now to give power for what? The women, first of all, to lead their life as they wish. Now it is used as a tool. Empowerment programs are used as a tool. Now to know, especially the empowerment programs are targeted towards poor and the downtrodden or the marginalized. Now empowerment means to become self-reliant, to become assertive of what they want, to be assertive about their rights and make choices and controlling resources. Now let us know the strategies for empowerment. First, we are going to learn about the legal strategies. Now in the textbook we can find 5 important acts passed to protect women socially and empower them. Now the first one is the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. The Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 first of all gives women a right to choose the partner, even go for a divorce, and the age at marriage is fixed. The women below age of 18 should not be married. A man below 21 cannot marry. So the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 is favorable to the women because it empowers women to marry after maturity. So in India we had so many areas where people practice child marriage. To abolish this. Secondly, Hindu Succession Act of 1956. Now, Hindu Succession Act of 1956 gives power to the girl children also to get a share in the parents' property. In the patriarchal system, the girl child was not liable for that. Now, this act gives provision for a claim. Next, third is Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act of 1956. Important point regarding this is any Hindu family can go for adoption and maintenance. During adoption, they can go even for a girl child. Now, even an unmarried woman can go for adoption. Third is Dowry Prohibition Act. Giving dowry and receiving dowry both are prohibited as per Dowry Prohibition Act of 1984. Now, due to dowry, there were so many deaths in India. Many people suffered even after wedding, and throughout their life, due to dowry system, many women suffered. So, in order to in order to avoid such sufferings, Dowry Prohibition Act of 1984 was introduced. Now, the last one which is introduced in the textbook is Domestic Violence Act of 2005. In various areas, we could see women get income to the family. Men, even if they bring income to the family, they go for some bad habits. They become alcoholic and they may not take care of the family. The woman has to take care of the family, and many times woman has to suffer from some ill treatment, atrocities at home, violence at home. So, to avoid this, Domestic Violence Act of 2005 has been introduced. So, these are the social strategy, legal strategies. Now, second is social strategies. Establishment of women's welfare schemes. There are so many schemes now. We can, Shakti programs are introduced in India, where various areas in the rural areas, women pull together their money. They start self-help groups. They have their own banking system. Like they get the credit from the self-help group, so on and so forth. Secondly, legal literacy for women. Many women do not know what are the legal safeguards they have. What are the ways in which they can avoid exploitation, avoid criminality, avoid atrocities. So, they should be legally educated, legal literacy of women through radio, television, other mass media of communication. We can find various programs on radio, television and other media where women are taught or women are brought to a notice. Women were taught about the various legal provisions to safeguard themselves. Now, next is help of neighbors. The abused women can take the help of the neighbors in case of difficulties. To tell them this, the social strategies are formulated. Next is public education and awareness program. Now, there are so many, sometimes we find in various social gatherings, women are told how they can safeguard themselves, how they can take care of their health. So, such public awareness programs are conducted. And next is a very important one, that is the males in the society should be taught or they should be educated about their new roles. Woman is having now new roles as a housewife. She works at home. When she comes out for work, she works as a teacher or a lecturer or a doctor or a lawyer. Now, there is no place where now we can't see the girls. Many of the places the girls are excelling also. So, to educate the male regarding their new roles. The next is economic strategies. Educational and vocational training. Some training should be given by which women they can start their own small employment scheme. They can have their own household production of household articles like candles, soap, etc. So training can be given, vocational training. Next, technological aids. To make the work fast and save time, technology is developed now at home. We have so many machineries, technological objects which can make our work easy. Formal and informal education. There are various kinds of informal education. Maybe mehendi designs, maybe doll making, various kinds of crafts. Such things can be taught to the women. Next is credit facility from small scale industries for self-employment. With a small amount of loan from a financial institution, a woman can be self-employed, start her own business. Now, programs for placing women in important positions. So, these are economic strategies included for the empowerment of women. Now, in India, 2001 is considered as the year of women empowerment, and this 2001 strategy has 3 important objectives. One is nationwide program of awareness that women are facing such and such a problem and how these problems can be stopped. Next is initializing and accelerating certain programs by which women could get control over the resources. Third, to enhance self-confidence and autonomy among the women. So therefore, the government has started a new scheme, that is the National Commission for Women. This National Commission for Women is a body which is set up in the year 1992 by the central government. This has one chairperson and 5 members and a secretary. National Commission for Women and State Commission for Women. The most important aim of this institution, this commission, is to take immediate action against the crimes over the women, enquiries and other things. If a woman is facing any crime, or if she is forced to face any crime, such action should be immediately reported to the commission. So at present in India, we have Rekha Sharma as the chairperson of the National Commission for Women, and in Karnataka also we have National Commission for Women, and now here in Karnataka, Nagalakshmi Bai is heading the State Commission for Women. Now women are facing so many problems. They are victims of so many evils, social evils. So to bring the women out of such problems, for a speedy action, these commissions were started or set up. Now various schemes are introduced. Social assistance scheme, vocational training, and training cum employment cum production schemes, and Rashtriya Mahila Kosh is established, Mahila Samriddhi Yojana is established, Indira Mahila Yojana is established. All these yojanas or the plans are working towards empowering women. Now let us know about self-help groups. Now abbreviation of SH G, self-help group. Mostly asked for one mark question. What do you mean by SHG? Self-help groups. Now let us know. Now in some rural areas as well as in urban areas throughout India, some social gatherings, some celebrations, we can find a team of women wearing an uniform, actively participating, volunteering themselves for various works. In some processions, they also participate. That is their social involvement. Now, in order to bring women to the forefront, or in order to empower the women, self-help group scheme has been started. Few women, 50 to 20 women come together, pool their money, and with mutual understanding, they have a small financial system. If they need money for emergency, in need of emergency, they go to the self-help group and get money as a loan. So it is a kind of a small financial association where the money is pooled by them, money is managed by them, and they get social exposure as well. So because of this, women get exposed to the various social activities. They develop contacts. They become economically active, and they also get access to what is called as resources. So, self-help group is one of the important and the most effective way to empower women in India. Main goal is to save. They pool their money together, they save it, they bring it together and save it. In case of emergency only, they take the money from the group. They get the loan from the group. Most of the poor families, especially poor women, get lot of help from this self-help group. It gives financial stability also for their savings. Now, one advantage is that they come to know few methods of banking system. They learn how to set interest for the money, loan repayment, etc. So, this self-help group in Karnataka, Mairada, a self-help group was established, and it had some various cooperatives working under it. And they were, in the beginning, they were called as credit management groups. In 1991-92, NABARD linkage was given for self-help groups. So, in order to tackle poverty, in order to bring the women up in the society, these self-help groups are working wonders in rural areas of India. Okay. Now, the last topic that we are going to discuss in this chapter is microfinance. As we have a history, economics, political science, sociology combination, students of economics already know, or they already have studied something about microfinance. This is purely an economic term and economic concern to economics. Recently, this microfinance is introduced in the sociology syllabus. It's a very interesting area. Even in Atmanirbhar Yojana, this recent move by the Prime Minister also, we can see emphasis on microfinance. etc. So this term microfinance was being introduced when a Nobel laureate called Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh, when he started a Grameen bank there, a self-governed, self-owned banking system. And influenced by that, in India, Grameen banks were started with an intention to finance the poor people of the country. Now, what is the aim of this microfinance? As we all know, first important is to save, to make people save their money, to have saving accounts. Financial service, giving them financial service, to have insurance fund and credit, to give credit to the poor and low income clients. So what is special about microfinance is, if anybody goes to a nationalized bank or a commercial bank, if he wants a loan, he should show to the bank that he has enough income by which he can repay the loan. And in case if he can't, he should show a person or an institution which can stand as a surety for his loan. But for a poor man who is below the poverty line, it's quite difficult to get a loan sanctioned for a small amount which he needs. He may not need a big amount, so for his small limited need, a nationalized or a commercial bank or a higher project level banks cannot lend him the money. At that time, this microfinance comes to his help. So, microfinance therefore is an idea introduced to give loan without security. That is, but we have to remember the point that this loan is not a big amount, it's a small amount. So, the small amount of money is given as a loan without any security. Secondly, people below the poverty line can approach and get a loan, get a credit help. So, the second point, very important aspect that we have to know about microfinance is people below the poverty line get the microfinance, get finance. Next, the members of the self-help group manage the microfinance, and the terms and conditions are also decided by the self-help groups. So, for people who are below the poverty line, microfinance is a boon. Now, there are three important types of microfinance. One is informal. Now, what do we mean by informal financial services? Now, there are some pygmy collectors we call, through chit funds or through some savings collectors. Some amount of money is saved on a daily basis or a weekly basis. They come home, they take the money and they make some investments. It's easy for the person to approach the person who is collecting the money. It's flexible also. And it's most convenient for the poor, but only thing is it is a bit risky. So, the first one is informal savings collectors or informal financial service. Now, the second is member-owned organizations. Now, here member-owned organization, under this category come self-help groups, some credit unions, some financial service associations. The third one is formal financial organizations. Now, under this come some of the banks like commercial banks, savings banks, rural banks, non-banking financial institutions. These are all come under the formal financial organizations. Now, microfinance in India was being influenced by Muhammad Yunus, who introduced this in Bangladesh, and that idea was brought to India, and in India Grameen banks were opened up, and NABARD introduced it in India. The last topic of this chapter is Stree Shakti. Now, in Karnataka 2000-2001, empowerment of the rural women, for the empowerment of rural women to become self-reliant, all villages they started Stree Shakti programs. Now, what are the aims and objectives of the Stree Shakti program? Now, while speaking about microfinance, we have to mention here three important institutes which work for the empowerment of women and giving microfinance. Now, the first one is Stree Shakti. In 2000-2001, in Karnataka, Stree Shakti programs were included, especially with the help of self-help groups. Now, the main intention is to make women reliant, to raise to the above poverty line, to become financially stable. So, self-help groups joining of the similar social cultural background, rural women come together and pool money and form. And these Stree Shakti groups are quite active socially also. Now, there are some aims and objectives of these Stree Shakti groups. One is to strengthen the process of economic development. Now, women can also contribute to the national income by self-reliance, and so giving them kind of training for self-employment, etc. They can strengthen their economic power, and so thereby it can strengthen the national development, economic development. Secondly, it helps women to be self-reliant by preparing soap or producing soap at home, candles at home, various kinds of eatables which can be sold in stationeries and other grocery shops. They can directly go and sell it to the vendors. So that can make a lady quite self-reliant. Next is increase in income levels by producing and selling it. She can increase her income level. Next, benefits from the department. She will come to know through these Stree Shakti programs. She will come to know what are the benefits that she can avail from the various departments, government departments, for the upliftment of women. So, these Stree Shaktis programs have saved or benefited. They have saved more than 1118.05 crores of rupees. More than 1 lakh groups have availed this benefit. So they have internal lending also 3115.88 crores. So in this way, self-help groups along with Stree Shakti groups have contributed to the empowerment of women in India and Karnataka. The very last topic that is to be discussed in this chapter is about the role of SHG, that is self-help group. In Stree Kshetra Dharmasthala Rural Development Program is a very classic example. It sets an example for all as a very good rural development program, and especially empowering the rural women. Another is Seva and Lijjat Papad group. Mahila Grahodyog Yojana, Mahila Grahodyog group, which started by 7 women with a capital of only 80 rupees in Mumbai, by some producing certain small items of eatables, especially their advertisement of Lijjat Papad, Karram Kurram Lijjat Papad. So it's a very nice advertisement coming in the national DD channel about 25 years ago, when the advertisement was so exciting that we go and feel like eating the Lijjat Papad. The most important point about Lijjat Papad group, or the Shri Mahila Udyog Griha Udyog Yojana, is that it is situated in Mumbai, and only with 80 rupees it was started, and now it gives employment for 42,000 of women. In the year 1950 it was established, and now it has various branches in urban and rural areas. It has 67 branches. So this is an adventure done by women for their own help, and many people got employed. Many families got self-reliance through this Shri Mahila Griha Udyog Yojana. Another is Self-Employment Women's Association. Now, Self-Employment Women's Association is created for creating awareness among the women that they can be self-reliant, they can have their own earnings, they can have their own income, and so they can have their own control over the resources. So, the SEVA, that is Self-Employed Women's Association, the main strategy was struggle and develop, to struggle in life, to attain something, struggle in life and develop. So in Ahmedabad in the year 1972, Ila Bhatt started this a kind of movement of SEVA, that is Self-Employment Women's Association. So to get them, there are many families, many women got full employment and have become self-reliant due to this association activity. Therefore, it can give food security to the women, income security to the women, self-reliance, they can do decision making, they can even participate in various financial activities. So, Shri Mahila Seva Shakti Sahakari Bank Limited was therefore established in this regard. So, here we come to the end of the chapter 3. So, overall, if we look at the whole chapter, this inclusive strategies, we find in the beginning of the chapter, we have studied about affirmative action, constitutional safeguards, legislative measures, developmental programs for the scheduled castes, role of the NGOs, Gandhiji and B.R. Ambedkar, developmental programs for the tribals and special self-help groups, gender inequality, women empowerment and microfinance. So, if we go to the textbook in detail, among the chapters, 8 chapters, this chapter is a small chapter, and as per the blueprint given in the chapter, we have 15 hours of work is allotted, but here we have condensed them to 3 hours, and the marks allotted according to the blueprint of the textbook is 18. Now, you will get the notes done for this chapter, and as you all know, the question paper of sociology subject has 1 mark questions, 2 mark questions, 5 mark questions and 10 mark questions. So, I wish you all the best.